Hi, my name is Jeremy Harbour. I'm the chairman of the Marketing Group PLC. My background is small to medium-sized company mergers and acquisitions.
My name's Callum Laing. I'm the president of the Marketing Group based in Singapore. My responsibility is to grow the Marketing Group through acquisition of companies in this region and beyond.
I saw an opportunity in the marketing services sector, which is incredibly fragmented. It's basically controlled by 5 multi-billion dollar market cap organizations, and then literally tens and thousands of additional companies. And what's really interesting is that a lot of the really valuable talent exists in these smaller businesses, but quite often they're unable to access capital and they're unable to access some of the bigger client contracts because they're constricted by their size. So we decided to put together a group to pick up the best of these also ran companies.
The plan of the Marketing Group is to grow through acquisition, and we've identified a number of amazing companies in multiple different countries that are leaders in their field and that can allow us to go out to clients and offer a completely 360-degree package of services in multiple different countries.
We're a UK-based PLC. We own 4 key subsidiaries. One of them is in the UK. It's a company called Nice and Polite.
Nice and Polite is specializing on doing high-end video for a number of clients. And really, we're moving into a world where video is a particularly effective way for brands to tell their stories.
Obviously, content creation is becoming a really big part of people's digital media and digital marketing strategies at the moment. So this area is incredibly fast growth. The CEO of that company, Ross Anderson, is a leader in his field. He was previously the creative director of Universal Music and founded Nice and Polite about 8 years ago. Nice and Polite has grown very well, but one of their restrictions is because of their small size, around €1 million in turnover. They're unable to pitch for some of the really big contracts. Ironically, they actually end up delivering those contracts, but usually subcontracted by one of the large agencies. So they have the talent, they have the expertise, and they're known in the industry, but they're unable to pitch directly for those contracts. So by joining the Marketing Group, they were able to point to a bigger balance sheet and therefore pitch for bigger contracts.
Another company that we're working with in the initial group is Creative Insurgence. Creative Insurgence is doing some really clever brand activation and experiential marketing for a number of top companies. They range from doing things like pop-up beach parties, helping nightclubs to manage what they do, working with a lot of brands to make sure that those brands get into the hands of the right people. And that's run by Agir, and he's doing some really good stuff. He was recently voted one of the most influential Indians in Singapore, and his team has managed to grow that business to a really great and exciting business.
Another business in the group is based out here in Singapore, where I am right now. That company is called 1990. It's headed up by a CEO called Laurent Verrier, who is French. He comes from a big agency background, so he worked in one of those top 5 that I already mentioned. And he saw an opportunity for creative campaign-based social media solutions for big brands. And he's worked with people like Adidas, Procter & Gamble, Apple, Citi, and produced, he's currently working with Jimmy Choo, and has produced campaign-based social media programs crossing many different platforms, and particularly using analytics to marry brands with influencers to get the best results for clients. We then have another social media company called Black Marketing, but they're more in the content creation and content curation space, and they specialize in the platform LinkedIn. And basically they help senior executives in very large organizations create a profile for themselves on LinkedIn, which then helps to attract better talent and make their customers think that they're kind of thought leaders within their particular industry. Black Marketing has been incredibly fast growth. It's one of the youngest companies in the Marketing Group, being only 3 years old, but their month-on-month growth of retainer-based, very loyal businesses has meant that they've been able to deliver good, consistent growth.
The Marketing Group PLC has been brought together to make the most of an opportunity that's happening right now at this unique period in time. There are lots of big companies out there, but a lot of the talent is actually locked up in small companies. And what the Marketing Group has realized is that if we can put together a group of best-in-class small businesses from around the world, we're actually able to offer clients a much better service than they would be able to get from the traditional faceless corporation. What this means for investors as well is that you get to experience the fast growth of small businesses, but without the risk typically associated with investing in a small business. The Marketing Group gives you an opportunity to have a diversification of companies. We only work with debt-free, profitable companies that are leaders in their field and can offer genuine, great quality products to the international clients that they work for.
Last year, we decided that we would publicly list the Marketing Group PLC and use it as an acquisition vehicle in order to acquire a number of other interesting looking, profitable, debt-free marketing businesses that also were run by leaders in their fields. It was chosen to list on the Nasdaq OMX market in Stockholm in Sweden. A number of reasons for doing this. Firstly was we wanted a euro-denominated listing so that we had currency liquidity. Secondly, what we really like about the Nasdaq OMX First North is the migration path that we can have to the main market. Most companies of our sort of size would have to list on a secondary market somewhere else in Europe. And then really, as soon as we've done our first few acquisitions, we would then need to go through an entire listing process again in order to list on a different market that suited our new scale. Whereas with Nasdaq OMX, we feel that there's a ready-made migration path for us to main market as soon as we've done our first acquisitions. The other thing is that compared to some of the secondary markets in Europe, there's much more favorable levels of liquidity on the OMX First North. So liquidity is a very important driver of shareholder value, and therefore we wanted to be on as liquid a market as possible. The management team of the Marketing Group PLC has been specially selected. Effectively, we're an acquisition vehicle, and our growth plan is going to be driven fundamentally by the acquisition of new companies into the group. So whilst each of the companies on its own has a very strong organic growth story, we prefer the more predictable growth that you get from an acquisition. As such, we have a board that is full of people that can support us in that aim. We have myself, which with my experience in M&A. We have Callum Laing heading up our Asia division, who's personally bought and sold his own businesses in the past. We have Yen Tao, who's our in-house counsel. He's a specialist cross-border M&A lawyer. We have Charles Bartholomew, who again has done his own transactions, is a fully qualified chartered accountant and is in the group's CEO. And we have Toby Street based in the UK, who is sourcing the businesses over there and has relationships with institutional investors and other connections in the City of London that will help us with our project. And then on the kind of marketing and communication side, we have Hannah Middleton, who was the ex-communications director from ITV, which is the largest independent media company in the UK. We have Prakash, who sold his company to WPP, who is the largest marketing services company in the world. So he has the experience of their M&A process from the other side, as well as running his own marketing agency. And we then have Conrad and James as additional advisors in the marketing services space, so that they can really keep us on track with the right kind of acquisitions that we can bring into the group to ensure that the synergies and the opportunities are going to be right for us going forwards. And then as non-execs, we have the CEOs of each of our subsidiary companies. Laurent Verrier, Agir Yadav, Ross Anderson, and Chris Reed.